Assalamu alaikum guys, what is up? This is QTA. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing something different and it's called Hot
Drinks and Girl Talk.
Oh, yes. Can you imagine? I just forgot the name of my new
You're under pressure.
series. Yeah. I'm sure you guys will be wondering, who is this girl beside her saying she is the beautiful Fatima Maitambe. I hope I pronounced that nice.
Yeah, actually, surprisingly well.
So yes, you might know her on Instagram at Sarah, who I'm going to put her username on the screen or in the description box below. So today we're talking about sex ed. Actually, I saw this thing on her page and I was like, this would be something very interesting to talk about, and would like to pass out information to parents out there that have this restriction, right, when it comes to sex education, especially Muslim parents or religious parents. So I'm going to allow Fatima to introduce her topic and let's know what's up. It's a discussion.
It's your topic though.
No. Well, it's your topic that I'm borrowing.
I think it's someone else's topic actually, because
Okay.
I first saw Muslima mom. She's a blogger on Instagram. She posted something about it and how she was talking to her children about it, and I figured, and actually even before then I had like an issue with the way that we do not talk about these things in our communities. I think the first time was when MTV Sugar, there was a series they did about how basically, I think it was a whole campaign about how do you call it, safe sex and use of contraceptives and like regular testing for STDs and having like one partner as opposed to like multiple partners. And for me, and the person that recommended it was my friend, and she's like, you should watch this, it's really nice. I mean, it's good that people are talking about it. What I felt was, but this is not our narrative for us as Muslims. It's not just like, go ahead and do it so long as you're safe, so long as you don't like get an STD or get pregnant, then it's fine. And I'm like, but unfortunately, we're not campaigning. It's not our campaign. We don't have parallel campaigns for our own teenagers or for our own young adults. And so what they grow up seeing is, oh, as long as I can get away with it and nobody knows, then that's fine. Yeah. But nobody's talking about how for us it's total abstinence.
Yes, it's like plain haram, whether you can, whether it's protected or not.
Or not, just don't do it.
Yes. So you know how basically what you're trying to say is that when kids are coming of age, parents tend to tell them, in this 21st century now, parents tend to tell them, have safe sex and don't get pregnant, instead of telling them stay away from it. So for Muslim parents, don't you think they face this issue like where they are shy? Because there's this whole thing of haya, there's this whole thing of this shyness in Islam, and I think people have a misconception or misunderstanding when it comes to haya, especially with your family. So what do you think?
I think it's a big issue for us. We're very conservative. We like to think of ourselves as like we don't do those things. Even within our circles, like even as friends, like there's a certain level. I think even if not now, like you don't hear these conversations being had. Like people don't talk about how you say, what do you call them, aphrodisiacs and things like this. It's now that these conversations are being had within our circles. So when people say things like it's haya, you're thinking, we're just brushing these things under the carpet. There should be a boundary or a framework within which we can have these conversations without being too explicit and crossing boundaries, but at the same time not ignoring the fact that it exists and these children know, whether we like it or whether we don't introduce them to it, whether we do introduce them to it or not, they're going to find out. They're finding out, in fact, with internet now, and movies are selling these things, music videos are selling these things. Everywhere you turn, billboards, everyone is talking about it.
Because you have parents have this mindset that, okay, you know what, a child is too young to know anything about sex. And in the society of today, you have kids of as young as 2 years old being abused, molested, you understand? So what's the best way to advise parents to create some sort of awareness to their little kids, like as little as 2 years old? Do you understand? Like, give an example. How would you advise a parent to educate their baby about something like this?
I think personally I don't have a good advice. I feel like I'm not in the position to advise. So what we did on Tida I Love was, when I saw that, I was like, this is the type of conversations that we need to have.
Yeah.
So I put it out there. I was like, okay, parents, because I don't have kids, so I don't know what it's going to be.
I don't
like,
have kids either.
But I was like, what do you guys think? How do you guys approach it? Those that have done it and those that are not doing it, what are your reasons? Like, how do we go about it? And the conversation was very, very insightful. Some women were saying, some mothers were saying, with my children, I just tend to, from 7 years, I talk to them about it. Some were saying as early as 2, 3, I tell them, okay, you can't be too explicit, but I tell them, okay, this is no-go area. Nobody touches here. So when that happens, you know that it's wrong. When somebody tries to, you know that it's wrong. So you bring in these little things and as they're growing, you increase, like, you expand the conversation basically. So I think for each parent, like how they say, like, to each his own. You understand your children, you understand the type of community they're in, how you let them interact with other children or other people. And there was someone who was saying that she doesn't allow her kids to do sleepovers. Like, if you want sleepovers, come to my house. I'm not letting my kids go. And that's what she feels safe with.
Some people feel like when you say sex, it's too harsh a word. But this is science. Whether we accept it, what other words would you want to use? Because these kids, intimate relations, okay, that's one word, but at the end of the day, it doesn't break down anything. When you say intimate, there are a lot of intimate relations. Intimate relations can be, you're talking about something deep, something personal, but sex is plain. It is as plain as what the word is. So you find that a lot of people are like scared that it's too big a word for their kids. Do you understand? And these kids would grow up eventually and still find out what this word means. So it's not about, hiding the word from them and automatically making them think that it's too vulgar for them, but it's more or less like explaining what it means to them and telling them to abstain from it.
I think I understand what you're saying, but I think it also boils down to, at what age do you think that not just knowing the word, but actually understanding the gravity of the word. For instance, like, if I introduce my 4-year-old to such a word, they're going to use it plainly. They'll probably go to school and start telling their friends, because I mean, like, it's just a word. But probably if they're like 9 or 10 or thereabouts, they actually understand the gravity of the word, and it's not something that should be used plainly or loosely. So I think it does, as I said, like, go back to understanding your children and knowing at what age do you think they're ready. They have that maturity to understand what these things mean and, like, really, like, know the gravity of the act and etc. And the thing you mentioned, I think someone was saying something about how, for instance, this haya thing is not only related to, like, sex education. It also goes beyond that. You have, like, in our settings, we're very conservative in the sense that when you're not fasting, for instance, as a woman, because you're on your period, you're like, don't tell your brothers, hide and eat. Yet I'm like, but they'll know, they're going to have wives. I mean, it's not something to come out and start saying, oh, hey, I'm on my period, everybody know, like, whatever. But I don't see it as something that should be hidden also. Like, if my 10-year-old
like
brother walked up to me, or my 9-year-old, or even my 7-year-old brother, Yazara, why are you not fasting? I'm like, oh, there's something that girls do, it's called a period. I mean, there's nothing taboo about it, or at least I don't think there is, right? But there's that conservative sense of, and it goes, sometimes we take it to extremes of, for instance, how a widow should not probably, I was reading a book, let me give that example. So I was reading a book, I think I read a book actually last year, and the book covered how there was this elderly woman who lost her husband. She was over 50 or so. She had, like, older kids, all married with grandchildren and everything, and she was still, she hadn't reached menopause, so she still had desires, right? But everyone was like, how can you be talking about marriage now? Like, you're 50, you have children and grandchildren. Like, I'm like, but she's human. She has her needs. Allow it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But no, in fact, in the end, what happened, even though it's a fictional story, but I like to think that it was based on reality, because a lot of these things happen in our communities. We don't just talk about it. In the end, she started to have, like, relations with some boy that was very much younger than her, like old enough to be her grandchild even, right? Because, and this could have been prevented. She had suitors, people who were looking like to get married to her, but everyone's like, you're over 50, da, 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 da. Like, where's the haya in that? What is haya in that? Do you understand? So I feel like sometimes we have this notion of haya that is way outside of what Islam actually describes.
Exactly, and it's like it's too. They're making Islam look like this religion that is too strict. Do you understand? Yes. And that's why people outside the religion tend to think that Muslim women are oppressed.
Yeah.
And it's just funny. So basically, if you could put a timetable for parents that are interested in knowing, if you could put a timetable and say, okay, from this age to this age, your kids should already know what parts of their bodies people shouldn't touch, especially strangers from the opposite sex, because this thing is not just girls that are suffering it, there are boys too going through sexual assault. So if you could say, okay, from this age to this age, parents should start telling their kids about, if somebody touches you here, let me know. And from what age to what age should you start using that word? Should you get them acquainted with that word?
Children grow differently. So I'm probably like maybe 2 years, because at that age I believe that a lot of kids are starting to explore and talk and walk about, and basically they have like common sense, if that's an appropriate word to use. So from as early as 2, I believe some grow earlier, so maybe a year plus, but I feel like as soon as 2 years, etc.
Sorry, our tea just came. Finally.
Thank you.
At what age do you think it's appropriate enough for a parent to actually sit their child down and like have this discussion, like, okay, this is what this word is? At what age do you think is right?
I honestly don't want to give an age because I don't feel like I do know, but I like to think that as soon as they begin to approach puberty, because this is the time that you start to feel like all sorts of things in your body, like your hormones are raging, like they're all over the place, and you're starting to see and feel things, and this is the time where you want to experiment, because probably you had prior knowledge, but it didn't occur to you that, okay, I need to experiment. But this is the time where our boys are starting to look at girls in a different way, and you're teaching them to lower their gaze, and then your girls are beginning to mature in certain ways, and you're teaching them the obligation of hijab, etc., etc. I feel like this is a time where you should also bring that in, make them understand what it is from the Islamic perspective and how they should react, because they're going to be having a lot of temptations. All of us have it. It's not something that is being dealt with like easily, especially now that we're living in a very hypersexualized society. Everywhere you look, there's like too much nudity and profanity and all these things. They're just triggering stuff in your head. I feel like that's the point. Once they're approaching that, you're not waiting for the time to come. Once they're approaching, you should arm them with all the information that they need to know. And I think it goes a long way to actually establish a sort of relationship with your children, that your speech or what you say to them is not all about information, but it actually does influence them. I was reading something yesterday about campaigns, like designing campaigns, and it was saying how like it's not about just giving people information, it's about influencing their decisions. So it goes a long way that the parent primarily is like, as the parent, you're the primary influencer of your child's decisions. So you've told them, okay, this is haram, this is halal. How do you encourage them to actually stick to the halal? Because it's difficult. Wallah, it's very, very difficult. No matter how righteous you think you are, if you like memorize all the Sahih Bukhari, memorize Quran and everything, we're still human beings. We still battle with these
part
temptations.
Of the trial.
It's part of the trials, exactly. So we should be able to have, whenever they feel like they're weakening in their resolve, you can come to me, let's talk over, because that's why we all need like righteous companionship, right? So that when you feel like I've been trying to do this all this while and all of a sudden I just don't feel up to it, I feel like I'm giving up, etc., you can come to me, let me encourage you and give you the boost. So I feel like once they're approaching that puberty stage, and for children these days it's a lot earlier than it used to be. People then used to like hit puberty at like 13, 14. Now 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds are mature, and like you're looking at your siblings like, how did you grow so big?
I know, right?
So like I feel like once they're approaching that age, it's important to sit and have a conversation, and also to note that it's not a one-off conversation. It's not something you tell them once and think,
and
oh,
then,
you guys are good. at intervals they'll have different challenges, and maybe at this point it's like, okay, I don't understand all these things, how do I navigate, how do I like keep saying? That's one. At some point it's like, oh, there's this girl, she's been blah 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 blah, how do you understand? So I feel like establishing that relationship and being open to conversation at every different point. Let them know that you're not judging them. Let them make them understand that you understand that it's difficult, that it's not easy. It's not like, oh, I'll just recite Surah Al-Fatiha and everything is going to be fine, right? Or Ayatul Kursi or anything. Make them understand that you understand too. Like, try to put yourself in their shoes. It might have been easier for us back then. It's not as easy these days. So I think that.
So basically the summary of this whole video is just trying to tell parents that while you are giving your kids this sex education, it's not about have safe sex, it's about it's not allowed, abstain from it, it's plainly haram. If you're not married, then it's not for you. So that's one. And then the second thing is you should have this sort of friendship with your kids where they can always come to you and you can teach them about these things. And when it comes to your family, I think the higher level should be on the low.
Toned down.
It should really be toned down, because if you live your life always following the whole higher thing, including your family and your kids, especially when it comes to topics like this, then it might just not be good enough. So yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Fatima, for taking out time to being on QKA's vlog. And guys, I hope you have learned something from this video, and I pray that Allah helps us all to include whatever we've learned into our lifestyle and everything. So I'll see you guys in my next video, inshallah. Until next time.
You have to do subscribe.
I got something for you. So yes, until next time guys, assalamu alaikum. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and even if you don't comment, it's all good. Oh, you want to show them?
Can I show you?
Yeah, sure. Okay, don't worry. Check her Instagram page out and you'll see it. So guys, bye. Assalamu alaikum.